From your point of view, what went wrong at that meeting on Friday?
Bongani, good morning, and thank you very much for inviting me. So, Bongani, at the beginning of that SCOPA meeting, the chair frames the meeting. His words, not mine. He frames the meeting. And all of this is in the public domain. He advises that in the past 2 days, the committee visited Medupi and Kusile, and they are not happy with what they found. And he asserts that someone in this room will have to answer for what they found at Medupi and Kusile. And he reiterates that this committee, and I'm deliberately being emphatic, to actually give effect, and I think to give you a sense of the frame of this so-called meeting. He reiterates that this committee is not happy with what they found during their visit. So obviously, Andre then takes them through a 61-page presentation, of some of the issues that they raised during the visit, and as well as the 23 recommendations that they had made to this Eskom board, in 2019. And we answer, to some of those issues. And in answering those questions, Q&A comes in, and and the question is asked about Andre's performance agreement. I then go back and I answer that question around Andre's performance agreement. And I then go back and answer the statement that was made, in the chair's frame, of the question, because I was the first board
member
person or board director member to actually, engage with the framing and with what we've been asked to do.
Yeah.
And I think that is precisely what happened, Bongani. And I think I'm on record as saying that yes, we must and should be held accountable for the decisions that we have made during our tenure. But unfortunately, there are things that we cannot answer to, and not because we don't want to, but because they predate this board, and that is a fact. There is no way I can answer to Medupi and Kusile without referring to the history, Bongani.
Right.
So you see, do not ask questions if you don't want to hear the answer. If he didn't want to hear my answer, then his framing of the meeting was incorrect. And to now claim that I went into that meeting with a prepared speech is absolutely ludicrous. What prepared speech? Because I answered a question that he put very strongly to the board. So, and because you do not like the answer to the question you are asked, then you do not give me an ultimatum, which on its own is a confrontational sense. There is something to be said, Bongani, about mutual respect and treating each other as thinking adults with divergent views. It cannot be an either-or situation. I'm not going to be told to behave as if I'm a naughty, 12-year-old school girl. For crying out loud, I don't even talk to my 10-year-old son in that manner. So if we want SOEs to be filled with people who will behave and who will be pliable and passive to Parliament, then we must say so, and we must make those appointments accordingly. I do not sit in that Eskom board, Bongani, as an ANC deployee, as he puts it, apparently. And it is that thinking, Bongani, that is precisely problematic.
Yeah.
When we get to these boards, we sit there as independent professionals charged with providing an independent view on the running of the utility and responsible for the overall governance and to act in the best interest of the company stakeholders, not the shareholders.
Busi, so I have to come in here and say, but hang on, isn't part of what SCOPA's oversight responsibility what is in fact currently unfolding at Eskom right now? Wasn't Mkhuleko Hlengwa and the committee well within their rights to raise the alarm about clear deliverables that you and the committee had committed to when you took on these roles?
Bongani, that is not in dispute. I'm saying to you that Andre presented a 61-page slide to the committee, which answers their 23 issues. Are the 23 issues complete? No, they are not. And the reason why they are not complete is that in some of those issues, then we have to actually, issues, for instance, that you're going to have to recoup the money, that was lost, for instance, during the state capture and whatever actually happened at Eskom. So Eskom can do so much in as far as that is concerned, and the rest is going to have to be done by the police. But none of those issues are raised, Bongani. 9 of them are complete, and the other 14 of them are actually amber. And we've given, work in progress in as far as why those issues are not complete and where we are in as far as that is concerned. So for now to be said that, I threw tantrums because how did you put it? it's an obfuscation of my responsibility, is absolutely incorrect. No one is actually kicking the can down the road. Bongani, I sat in that meeting and I said that you have told us to make sure that Busi is finished by 2023, and we will make sure that we do that. And if we don't, by all means, hold us accountable. We are actually going to make sure that the decisions that we've made as this board for the past 3 years, we can actually be held to account for that. If for whatever reason you think that we are involved in any nefarious activities, then you've got our corporation to investigate us. So how is that, therefore, shifting my fiduciary responsibility as a director? And as I'm saying, answering that particular or making that particular statement was merely locating the problem and saying that as SCOPA, you have got the right to summon anyone into this committee. So if there's answers that you want about the 300 billion rand mess, that cannot be answered by this board. And it's not something that is going to be put on our heads. And it's not something that we're going to have to take the fall for. Answer or request us to answer for that which we're responsible for, but not for the entire mess.
Do you stand by your decision to walk out?
I stand by my decision to walk out. That was disrespect. That was actually very derogatory, and I don't even know what behave means in this context. So if you are asked a question and you give an answer and you are told, you're either going to behave or walk out of this or leave this meeting, then what does behaving mean? Does behave mean that answer, the way I expect you to, I had better like the answer that you're going to give me, or else, so I then choose the or else. Because then, and if, Bongani, that conduct of walking out is politics of the gutter, as it puts it, then, Bongani, I wear politics of the gutter as a badge of honor. I'm happy to actually be accused of exercising politics of the gutter.
All right, Busi Mavuso, appreciate your time. Eskom board member there.
Current events, developing stories,
tough questions.
Your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.